We're going to be talking about selling on value today over selling on just price and like the most affordable options that are out there that are available. To me, I think selling on value is so important. It helps when it comes to keeping your business on the books. It separates you from others out there that are strictly focused on selling the cheapest thing available. So we're going to get into that here in a minute and kind of go through a few different slides here. So I'm going to bring on Chris here. Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good. So,
Better
this
than
topic now, would you say when you are, when you're presenting, when you're going through things with a client, I mean, what are your like main focuses? I know price matters, but I'm sure you would agree that it's probably not the most important thing.
I think price is part of the overall picture. I think it all kind of comes down, not to spoil the whole presentation, but to the three-legged stool. What's best for the client? What's best for the agent slash agency? And then what's best for the carrier? If you don't only worry about one leg of that stool, the whole thing doesn't work. So I think that it's understanding that value plays a big part in what we do, and price is also just a small portion of that proposition.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's so much more to it than just the price. I mean, I don't know. It's like anything else. I mean, we talked about this on your training on Friday, but I mean, when I'm looking to purchase something, I'm not just looking for the cheapest thing. I want like the best. I want something that's good quality, that's going to last. When it comes to insurance, life insurance, I mean, heck, I would think that a family is going to want a policy that they know is going to do its part when the time comes. When it comes to paying claims and paying claims quickly. And the last thing you want is to deal with a company that's just going to give you the runaround and it takes 6 months for a $10,000 claim to be paid.
Yeah. I mean,
So
value is also the value proposition the carrier brings to the agent and the process. Like, if the process is so complicated, the business never gets issued and the insurance never begins, what the heck was the point anyway? Value is the whole process from start to claim, I think.
yep. So yeah, feel free to everybody to leave any comments, any questions. Maybe you even have some tips. Uh, those of you watching that maybe have helped add value to your sale. So feel free to share. Let's go ahead and I'll add on the presentation: value selling secrets to master the final expense sale. So why do agents sell based on lowest price available? Uh, I think for one, it's a competitive market. And I think that agents fear getting their business replaced. They hear all over the place, oh, you have to sell the cheapest thing out there. Um, well, I was with a company for 11 and a half years in the final expense business that still has some of the highest rates out there. And yeah, you know what? They are easy to replace. But if the agent does their job, the initial sale, it makes it more difficult to replace, even if that product is highly priced. That company, my persistency always hung around 85, 90%. So even though we had like the highest rates out there, I was selling on value. I wasn't selling on price. I couldn't sell on price. If I sold on price, I wouldn't have written any business. So I really just kind of learned there to really sell based on value. And like I said, I mean, you don't have to focus on just the absolute cheapest thing out there if you do your job right to begin with. And the target market too. I think agents, maybe they think a little bit too much about the fact that we are dealing with people that are middle to low income, that they don't have a whole lot of money. And so, maybe the agent is trying to get the person the most coverage for their dollar, and that's fine. But like I said, there's more to it than just that. And that's where we kind of need to dig down and dissect maybe some of the different products that are out there and how we can add some value, things that will separate us from what everybody else is doing out there. And that's like, if you've watched my presentation, if you haven't, I'd recommend to go back and watch it, get on YouTube and watch it. Uh, I really try to do things different. than anybody else who's ever been in that house. I'm not someone that's going to walk in and just right away start talking about pictures that are on the wall. Like, to me, that's just cheesy. It's annoying. It's the same thing that the person has heard time and time again. So really everything I do, just I try to separate myself from everybody else. And even with adding that value, uh, I have people tell me all the time, wow, my other insurance doesn't do this. This is really nice. And it could just be something very simple that you're adding into the presentation. It doesn't have to be anything huge, just something simple that's going to add just a little bit of value. But we'll go through some of those bullet points as well. Why do uh, why do we sell? Why should we sell based on value? Like I said, I think it separates us from the competition and makes us unique, different than anybody else out there, different than the last 5 agents that have walked into the house and they all sound the same. And I think that it greatly improves persistency. Just doing these little things that we're going to be talking about today. Like I said, not only is it separating you from other agents out there, but that value, like I said, because we make this different, the client, they don't want to lose it. They want to keep it because they don't know if they'll be able to get it from anybody else because we're making this different.
Yeah, Adam, I think the fear of being replaced is like FOMO for the final expense agent is because we're really good at upgrading policies. We're really good at finding, uncovering, and getting people better policies. We have that reverse fear that someone's going to do the same thing to us. When in reality, even a mid-market priced product that we have is more competitive than every other replaceable product on the market. So even if you're just selling mid-pack premium, no one's going to come by and beat it. And if they were, they'd have to be, first off, better than you, highly unlikely. Second off, the person must not have had any new medical problem. These people get sicker by the day. Third, they had to have not had a birthday. There had to have not been a rate change. They would have to go get their policy. Like, there has to be so many other things that have to happen for you to be replaced. I can tell you I've been doing this for quite a long time in a very big market. It almost never happens to me. And it's because I'm pretty good at what I do and the odds are stacked against me. Then someone else is going to come in and do a better job.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like we were saying, you do your part, you do your job, you separate yourself from what everybody else is doing. It's going to make it much more difficult to be able to replace. And yeah, like you said too, I mean, heck, I mean, even if the rate is higher, once that person even has a birthday, just once they're 1 year older, that makes it so much harder to be able to replace. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. But different ways to add value, and feel free, Chris, too. You can add some if you see something that maybe I missed. But I think one way of adding value, I like to kind of make this personal, and I like to let the prospect, hopefully soon to be client, know that this isn't just like a one stop, we're going to write this policy and then we're never going to talk to you ever again sort of thing. I let them know that we're going to be involved from the time that we get this started all the way through the time that they pass away, that I'm going to be there for their family when that time comes. Make sure that your family reaches out to me. I'm going to make sure that we get that claim paid quickly. I'm going to make sure we can make this go as smoothly as possible for them when the time comes. And I'm going to let them know what to tell the funeral home, what not to tell the funeral home. Make sure they call me before anybody, because we all know if something were to happen and they call the funeral home, first thing that funeral home is asking about is the insurance. And a lot of times the funeral home will tend to use up as much of that money as they can. So I let the family know, look, I'm going to be there for them. And this is something, I'm not just telling them this. Like, when people pass away, I get phone calls and I do my part. I've been to some of my clients' funerals, and, taking that extra step, again, that's something that's going to separate you from anybody else that's out there. I mean, how many funerals do you think our clients go to where the insurance agent actually shows up? I'd say probably not many. So what do you think that's going to do? I mean, that's going to bring you more business too. People see that the insurance man is there and it shows that you really care. And you need to care about what you do because it really does play a pretty big role in the family's life when your client passes away.
Even if they didn't die yet, Adam, I make an effort to try to go back and disposition every lapse. Sometimes people have moved, fallen off the books, whatever the reason was. And when I find them, not in a detective kind of way, like a normal way, some of them are so grateful I made the extra effort to realize that they had moved across the street, across the block, across the city, because they really wanted to get the insurance back. That brings value knowing that their agent is going to be there for them, answer the phone, service their policy, and like you said, I could vouch for the statement. Additional business picked up because I was involved in the claims process. Like I'm not in this I want to make money off of you dying sense, but I'm present for this generation, the next generation. They see you do a good job at a vulnerable moment of their life and they know they don't have insurance. Who are they going to call? Like that's part of looking at this in a legacy perspective and not just a one call close.
Exactly. And like I said, I mean, how many agents are talking about that sort of thing in a house? When I feel like just so many people are just focused on rates and face amounts. And that's all they hear about is rates and face amounts and who's going to qualify me. That's it. So let's make this, let's take this a bit of a step further and make yourself different. And I'm telling you, boy, it's gonna help when it comes to writing more business and keeping that business on the books. Focus on working with carriers that have a good reputation of paying claims quickly. That's another way that I think we're adding value because we're letting the client know, the prospect know that when that time comes, that money's going to get there quickly. It's going to get there right away. Most of the carriers I do business with, they're going to pay those claims within 24 to 72 hours. As long as all the necessary documentation is received, as long as it's not a contestable claim. What that means, a contestable claim, if if the policy is within 2 years old, the company does have the right to go back and look at medical records just to make sure that everything was done accurately on the application. Uh, but even so, I mean, I've had contestable claims paid in 10 days. It's a matter of getting involved and helping the family and making sure all of that documentation gets submitted, and we can still get that claim paid pretty quickly. But I
Absolutely.
usually don't get into all that in the presentation, but I think it's good for the agents to know.
I think
But
it
at the end
comes
of the
down
day,
to
yeah, let's make sure we get those claims paid quickly so it serves its purpose.
Yeah, I think when you're listening, if you're actively listening in the presentation and you can identify that your prospect is value centric, using those kinds of phrases and experiences really brings value. Miss Johnson, you may only die once. Thank God there's only one time, but I deal with death on a regular basis. When your family member calls, I'll probably know where the policy is. I'll probably remember how much it's for, and I'll be able to tell them what to tell the funeral home at that point in time. I've talked to funeral directors locally, helped families through the process, even if it's just giving out the phone number of the carrier in that situation, it's the right thing to do. So I think Adam, in conclusion, I don't want to talk the whole call up today. Bringing value is being a good agent. Like just be a good human and imagine if you're on the other end of the sales process or the claims process, how would you want to be treated?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you just want to let the prospect know that, like I said, that we're going to be there for the family. We're going to be there to help them. We're going to be there to make sure things are done right. And we're going to make sure, too, that the family doesn't get taken advantage of. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. People are grieving. I don't feel like funeral homes like are out there to overcharge people, but sometimes they add stuff that just isn't necessary to use up maybe a little bit more of the money. And we want to make sure just little things like that don't happen. So that's why I like to get involved, help the client, make sure we get things done right, and help the client's family. And like I said, I mean, just all these things is what's separating what we do from everybody else out there. Uh, so then Prearrangement funeral guides. I mean, this is simple. Most companies that we work with, they have materials that you can get in there and you can order. Majority of them don't charge you for it. Uh, American Amicable, they're one that I use. It's a prearrangement guide. You can get into their supply section. You can order it. And I go through the prearrangement planning guide in my presentation. And I'm not sitting around filling it out with them, but I'm going through it with them, and I'm going to leave them one. And right even in that, I put my name and number in it. That's where I let them know. Make sure to let your family know to call me when that time comes. Let them know ahead of time, of course. But let's let's go through that. That's adding value. What's funny is that the planning guide is nothing but a piece of paper. But I've had prospects or clients now tell me, wow, that's really nice. My other insurance doesn't do all that. All it is this little piece of paper that I went through with them. It really has nothing to do with their insurance policy, but to them, it's like the whole package. They're buying not just the insurance, but everything else that we're talking about that's involved with it. So, like I said, just a little thing like that is going to add some value and separate you from everybody else out there.
You have to leave them something. Like, this is an intangible purchase. If you haven't realized that they're never going to use the insurance they just purchased from you, wake up, good morning, it's Monday. They're not going to use it. Like, this is an intangible purchase. If you're not leaving them a pre-arrangement guide, a memorial planner, a brochure, a folder, a guide, something, then to them, what just happened? Like, you wake up the next day kind of doubting why you just bought what you did from the person you just met, and you have no proof of what just happened. Of course, a policy should come in the mail in a week, a month, 6 weeks later, but leaving them something makes their purchase tangible when the entire core product itself is intangible.
And then different riders, to me, that's adding value. Uh, I mean, pretty much all carriers, there are some sort of riders, whether that's an accidental death rider, whether that is a accelerated death benefit rider, nursing home waiver of premium. I mean, there's so many different riders out there. We're not going to go through all of that today, but we might go through a few on the product that we're going to be talking about today. But like I said, riders, same thing. It's making it more than just about a death benefit. It's added benefits. So, and then another way of adding value that have a funeral concierge service included with their product. And there's a few different ones out there that we focus on. One of them is American Amicable's product, the Platinum Solution product. And then the SBLI, they also have a funeral concierge service. So we're going to be going through that today, the American Amicable. Just a little bit about American Amicable. And one thing that I really like about them is the fact that, like I said, they're good about paying claims. I mean, this is just something that I pulled out of one of their marketing materials, but back in 2021, and like the thick of COVID, they paid out over $141 million in claims, over 13,000 policies. We're talking about small $10, $15, $20,000 policies, but just a whole lot of them. So to me, I like that because it shows they're not afraid to pay a claim. And we want to make sure we're working with companies, like I said, that are going to do their part and are going to pay claims and serve it. So this serves its purpose and provides maybe a little bit less of a headache to the client when that time comes. Okay, sorry, my internet looked like it was running slow. I want to make sure we're okay here. So a little bit about American Amicable. They've been around a long time, 114 years, since 1910. Home office is in Waco, Texas. They're AM Best rated, A rated. They were acquired by Industrial Alliance Insurance and Financial Services in 2010, which really bumped up their total assets volume, over $109 billion in assets combined. They're not, I mean, these guys are not going anywhere. I mean, this is a company that has been around a long time. They're going to be around for many, many years to come. But I was at their home office. I was at their home office about a year ago, actually. I was just thinking about that this morning. Just about probably a year to the date, I was at their home office. Got to meet a lot of really good people over there. And yeah, just a great company. I love how they operate. I love their mindset. I mean, I've seen some companies where it's like they just feel like all agents are like bad and like they're just out there to get people and they're just trying to pull a fast one on everybody. Like, it's not like that at all. Maybe there are a few bad agents out there, unfortunately, but overall, I think most agents out there are just trying to do a good thing and earn a good living for their family. And I think that American Amicable understands that. They look at agents as more of like their agent partners that and just little things, even on some of the pieces of business that I write. You could write a piece of business, it could come back other than applied for. Maybe you think that the person's going to get first day coverage and then it goes to like a modified death benefit. They call it return of premium. Well, most companies, when that plan change occurs, that's just it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. That's just the what it's going to be. It's going to go from a first day coverage to a 2-year waiting period, no questions asked, nothing you can do about it. But with American Amicable, they actually give you the ability to contest those decisions if you feel like there's a possibility that it still should be issued day one coverage. And I would say that on the ones that I have had where I contest the decision, I would say probably at least 60 to 70% of them I end up winning. And so it's pretty cool to see that they'll actually take your word for it as the agent, as long as you kind of know what you're doing. And that's too, if you're a new agent and you are writing an app and it comes back that way, and you're just not really sure, you can either try to conserve that piece of business. You can always call me too, and we can kind of go through it while you're still in the home. We might be able to still be able to get that person that day one coverage with American Amicable. Might take an extra day or two, but at least we know going in that whatever shows up is not definite, and that's something that I really like about them.
Yeah, I got a list here while you were chatting of the reasons why I think they're an outstanding carrier. Again, we work with a lot of different companies. No one company's best for everybody. If one company went away tomorrow, we wouldn't go out of business. But when it comes to American Amicable, one of the value propositions they provide us and the consumer is true Social Security billing. Like, they collect the money before the client can wake up, go to the store, buy the lottery tickets, the cigarettes, and everything they shouldn't be purchasing, and then miss your policy. True Social Security billing is a game changer in persistency. They have a carrier trip every single year. I qualified for the American Amicable trip in 2020. Didn't happen. That's a shame. They still paid us a bonus for it. They have a trip. A lot of carriers have gotten away from that. Trips are a big deal to the personal producer as something to shoot for. Their pay, obviously, this can vary by contract and an agent, but generally speaking, they pay very quickly. They pay their renewals in a monthly lump sum deposit, which makes your cash flow predictable. Get a nice $1,500 deposit on the first of the month from American Amicable, pay off your mortgage or your rent, and you're good to go. The whole process is just incredibly agent centric. You get an email when there's a conservation problem, a lapse. You can chat with them. Adam, I think it's one of the most consistent products on the market. There hasn't been any product changes in as long as I've been contracted with them. It's just a great company to work with.
Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about too. Like, you see how so often there's companies where they have to adjust their underwriting, they raise their rates. I rarely see any kind of rate increase with American Amicable. Their underwriting, it's been the same for as long as I have known about them.
Mhm.
I was contracted back. I did a little bit with them back in like 2015, so we're talking like 9 years ago.
Hasn't
I did a
changed.
little bit with them back then,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it's the same product now as it was then. Only difference is they've added this platinum product that has some additional benefits, and that's what we're going to be talking about now. So, so yeah, the platinum solution, the platinum legacy. It for those of you who know American Amicable, it's the same underwriting as the senior choice and the family choice product. The difference between senior choice and family choice is that senior choice goes ages 50 to 85. The family choice is ages 0 to 49. So that's another nice thing too. I mean, it's a final expense product. There's not many final expense carriers that will actually go starting at age 0. Most of them, we're talking 50 and above, maybe some of them 40 and above. So you can even write the younger people the simplified issue whole life product, uh, the smaller face amounts. And again, when we're dealing with final expense, a lot of times that's all that our clients are really looking for, is just enough to cover those expenses in case something were to happen. So it's nice that they do have that even for the younger people.
Yeah. Same underwriting as
Immediate.
Golden Solutions too. Not to interrupt you, but in case you're writing Golden Solutions or many of the other variations of what American Amicable puts out, it's the same underwriting chassis. So same as Golden Solutions too.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, there's immediate death benefit, a graded death benefit, and then a modified death benefit. They call it return of premium, which basically, if that person were to pass away within the first 2 years, the family is receiving back all the premiums paid in plus 10% interest on their money. The graded benefit, their graded benefit is kind of, I don't know, kind of different because I honestly I rarely run into anybody that even kind of fits into the graded. It's either usually either immediate or return of premium. So there's like just a fine line of people that qualify for the graded. And the graded is I think it's 30% of the face amount and then 70%. So 30% of the face amount first year, 70% of the face amount the second year, and then a full death benefit after that. So if they fall into that graded category, great. But like I said, unfortunately, I rarely run into situations where it's even going to be a graded benefit with them. Now the premiums, they are a little bit higher than the senior choice and the family choice. But again, there's more value there that we're going to be talking about with the funeral concierge service and even some additional riders that are included in that policy. So again, there is some things to justify the higher rates. And to me, that's all that matters. I've seen companies where they raise their rates, but there's no justification there. There's nothing to justify that higher rate. And then agents are just like, well, why should I write that? The rate's so much higher. I'll just use somebody else now. Well, the rates are a little bit more on the platinum product, but like I said, there's a lot there to justify that we're going to be going through here in a few minutes. You can do this over the phone or in the home, the product. They recently added a text to sign feature, which is very nice, where you don't even have to do a phone interview or any kind of phone recording to get the policy issued. A simple text message, if you're selling over the phone, would get that person to be able to just sign it on their phone and submit it back and get the policy approved. And then there are some no cost benefits. I'll be going through the summary of these on the next, or at least a kind of like in detail, I guess you could say, on the next slides here. But there's a terminal illness accelerated death benefit. They have an accelerated death benefit for confined care. And then there are some optional benefits. There's a nursing home waiver of premium. There is a accidental death benefit rider. And then, of course, the membership to the Everest funeral concierge service. So the no-cost benefits, the terminal illness accelerated death benefit rider. This is something that I think adds a lot of value. And it's so funny because I've gone through this rider with clients and like they think I'm like messing with them. They're like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." Basically, the way it works, as you can see here, if you're diagnosed with a terminal illness where you basically have 12 months or less to live, well, you can send in your doctor's information to the company and you can receive up to 100% of that death benefit while you're still living. So I'll explain to the client that you can actually receive that money. You could run down to the funeral home. You can pick everything else out yourself, pay for it, and just one less thing for the family to have to worry about. So, and anything that's left over, heck, you could take a trip with your family while you're still living, while you're still feeling good. So that's, like I said, something that's kind of unique that I like, but there are other carriers that also offer this, but I just think that it's a great added rider. And this is one that on this product is just included. So, but yeah, like I said, do you ever talk to your clients a whole lot about the terminal illness accelerated death benefit rider, Chris?
Yeah, almost every single person. The way I close the sale, I have a little client sheet on the front, and on the back is my pitch sheet, and then I fold it over. And the last thing I go over with them is literally And your policy includes living benefit for terminal illness. So if you die, you find out you're going to die in the next 12 months, we can get you that benefit ahead of time. It's almost always the last thing I say before I show them price and close. So I talk about this all the time.
And accelerated death benefit for confined care. This one is very unique. I've never seen another company that has this available where, well, if the person is confined to a nursing home for at least 30 days after the policy is issued, they can receive a monthly benefit equal to 5% of the face amount per month. So basically, they can receive like an income while they're in the nursing home. If they have a $10,000 policy, they're going to get $500 a month while they're in the nursing home. So that's just something too that's just kind of unique, and that's a free benefit. It's all included in with the platinum product. So like I said, the first time I saw that, I was like, wow, that's unique. I've never seen something like that. Do you know other carriers that offer something like that? Because I've never seen it, Chris.
No, it's not very common, and I think it's equally uncommon for agents to review these with your client. And I think especially after you've gotten them approved, the policy is issued, and you're like warming down and closed and about to leave, go over the carrier, go over the value, the age of the company, the riders in the policy, or maybe on policy delivery. Maybe you love to deliver your policies. One of the things I would always do is I'd open up the American Amicable folder. I would go to the policy and I would show them each one of these riders that are included to build additional value in what they purchased, make sure they understand it. And if somebody were to come back and attempt to replace the policy, maybe the client thinks to themselves, does this other product that's $2 cheaper come with all of the things that my policy comes with? And if it doesn't, I'd rather just pay the extra $2 for all of these riders and value that's in my policy.
Hey, it makes total sense. And one thing I wanted to mention too on the funeral concierge service, and actually this whole product, like we'll get into talking about the funeral concierge service. I don't go through that in my presentation until after I kind of go through qualifying them to see if they would even qualify with American Amicable based on their age, based on their health. There's no sense in going through it, getting them all excited, and then you had to take it away from them.
God, that's a rookie mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I'll go through my whole presentation. I'll go through the planning guide, like I mentioned. I'll go through that with them in the presentation because I can give that to them regardless of what company they decide to go with. But, once I know that they qualify, I'm going to go through this with them, the funeral concierge service and just all that added value. So, but we'll get to that too. There are a few other riders real quick wanted to go through before we get to the Everest. A grandchild rider. I mean, God, I'm in houses all the time where they always have kids or grandkids that need coverage. So we can at least get them up to like 10,000 per grandchild. There's companies that they have child riders, but they don't have grandchild riders. And to me, on a final expense policy, that just doesn't make any sense because most of our clients, I mean, how many clients over the age of 60 have kids that are under the age of 18? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but not a ton.
Yeah.
So that's what I like too. They can get the grandchildren covered at a very reasonable price. So just make sure that at least they have something.
The other thing to keep in mind is that grandchild riders are persistency maximizers. Why do you think a lot of carriers, the big name brand mountains of the business that have been around for a while and will always be around, have these kind of riders? Is because they understand if Miss Betty buys a policy that also covers a grandchild, she's going to keep the policy. And think about it this way. How many clients' homes have you been in the last year, 2, 5 years, where a grandparent is raising their grandchild or the grandchild also lives in the home? How are you not including them in this policy that you're about to sell Miss Betty? Just look around, open your eyes and think, who else lives here? Does the grandchild live here? Are they raising the grandchild? Why am I not offering this rider in those situations?
Well, yeah. And, another thing to think about too is that, maybe they want to take out coverage on their grandkids. Maybe they take care of their grandkids. Maybe they're raising their grandkids, but, and again, maybe the the parents are not even involved. But if they don't like legally, if they're not legally able to like sign as like a guardian, then with a rider, I mean, it doesn't matter. The grandchild rider is fine. I guess what I mean, they wouldn't, they would have more trouble taking out a permanent policy on their grandchildren without the parents' approval. But with the riders, they don't need the parent signatures, so we can at least make sure that the grandkids are covered regardless of the situation with the family.
Mhm.
Uh, and then there's a children's term rider. This is just a small rider for children, $6,000 of term insurance on each children that is not available on the return of premium policy. And then the nursing home waiver of premium rider. This is another rider. One thing a lot of people don't think about is that if you end up in a nursing home, like your money is like history. Like they right away they want to take control of all of your assets. And what that means is that there's a possibility that you're not going to be able to pay your premium, your life insurance if the nursing home is, Medicaid gets involved and everything else. So with the nursing home waiver premium rider, you end up in the nursing home. Well, they will waive that premium, so you'll still have that policy, regardless of how long you are in the nursing home, and you don't have to pay the premium while you are confined to the nursing home. And then we have the accidental death benefit. Pretty much all companies offer that, but I think that's another thing. I mean, heck, why not add a accidental death? I usually just will always do like double the face amount. So if it's a $15,000 policy, I'll just show them. Usually I'll just quote them the regular 15,000. And then if anything, when I'm filling out the app, I might just calculate and figure out how much extra it is and say, well, look at it for just an extra dollar or two. We can double that face amount if you were to die in an accident. And most people say, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and do that for extra $2. I think it's worth it.
If you're working in an urban environment, heck, even a rural environment, and you're not offering accidental death, you're missing additional premium and value and sizzle. Adam, I've done the same thing. I'll either price it in and include it, or if I'm feeling extra confident, I'm going through the application. I'll say what you said. Oh, gosh, I can't believe I forgot this. Adam, you actually did qualify for the accidental death benefit too. It's like an extra $5. If you died in an accident, it pays double. I mean, you want me to include that, right? There you go.
There you have it. Yeah, and I usually just say too, especially the younger people. We're talking about final expense, but I mean, heck, we still deal with people 40, 50 years old. And I usually tell them, look, at the likelihood of you dying of natural causes is much lower the younger you are. The chances of you dying in an accident is much higher. So I think it's, there's no reason you shouldn't have accident coverage as well. And we can just add that right into the policy. As you get older, of course, that kind of shifts where chances of dying in an accident are a little bit slimmer. But when you're younger, I think this is very important to at least have some coverage to cover that if you were to die in an accident. And heck, it's just only an extra $2-3 a month. So why not?
I put way too much sugar in my coffee today, but I got one more for you on accidental death. Because there's so many ways to build value, place multiple products in the home, increase your income. Adam, if you have a health license like you have and I have, there are several carriers that offer accidental products that are for like $5, $7, $10. I try this one. Adam, before I go, I forgot to ask, did you want to supersize your policy? What does that mean? I can't eat it. For an extra $8, it looks like you can have an additional $100,000 of accidental death coverage on top of this plan. Did you want me to supersize it or just leave it alone? There you go. You might have just picked up an extra $8 of premium. Multiply that by 4 by 50. How much more money a year can you make by asking a silly question like supersizing your policy?
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty good too. That's heck, same thing. Just ways of adding value, like what we're talking about today. So let's see here. Where were we at here? I had to plug in my computer here. So the Everest, that's what we wanted to talk about. They are an independent consumer advocate group. They're available to more than 25 million individuals across the United States and Canada. They have 24/7 advisors that provide peace of mind and confidence when making difficult funeral related decisions. Uh, these are licensed funeral home directors that used to be in the business that are kind of stepping in, working with the family to see to it that everything is done right, to make sure that the family pays what they should be paying for things. And they're real good about negotiating those prices with the funeral homes. So, like I said, from a value standpoint, this is something that's separating what you're doing from what everybody else is. And it is giving the client the mindset that they're not just taking out another life insurance policy, they're taking out their funeral plan. This is the one that's going to handle everything from not just the money, but picking everything out and putting everything in order. So that's what that's what I like about it. And yeah, this is actually a video. I couldn't figure out how to play the video off of the slideshow, but this is something that I actually will show the client. You can just go on YouTube. You can type in Everest Funeral Concierge, and this video is like the first one that pops up. It's about a minute and a half long. It's just a short, like little commercial that helps as well with selling the product. This guy basically is already dead, basically, is what the commercial is. Like, these people are at the funeral home. He's just kind of talking about how it made it a lot easier on his family because he had the Everest plan. And he talks about the fact that they pay their claims very quickly. Within 48 hours, the family is going to have the money in their hands to pay the funeral home, to pay the cemetery, and everybody else. So, and again, he talks about in the video about how when the family is grieving and they're going into the different funeral homes, that it's just so morbid. It's just something people don't want to have to deal with. You walk in, you have to pick stuff out for your loved ones, and you have to deal with these salesmen that are trying to sell you while you just lost someone that you love. So again, this is something you put it all together ahead of time, and then all the family has to do is make a phone call when that time comes. They make a phone call to Everest. Everest will get in touch with the funeral home and really just kind of break down their entire plan. So, I mean, from a value standpoint, there's really nothing better, I don't think, out there to add value that's really going to hit home with your clients that have been through this, that know how it is when they have lost a loved one, and just the steps that are necessary to take. This takes a whole lot off of the family. One way that I sell it, I'll ask my client, I'll say, who is the one that's going to handle taking care of your funeral when that time comes? And they might say, oh, my son James is the one who's going to handle everything. And I'm going to paint that picture in their head. What do you think that day is going to look like for James? Has James ever had to plan for a funeral? They might say yes, they might say no. But when I ask them what that day is going to look like, they're going to start thinking about that. Yeah, it's going to be really difficult on him. It's going to be very tough. I don't know how he's going to handle it. But then I go through the Everest, and they're sold. They're like, wow, it doesn't matter that James has never had any experience dealing with funeral homes. I don't have to worry about him getting taken advantage of by the funeral home. Like, these guys are going to step in, they're going to help and just take a big portion of stress off of James at that time. So, like I said, it really sells itself, but paint that picture, and it'll really hit home with the client.
Real quick, Adam, I
Yeah.
read an article this weekend on why people buy things. The second reason, they feel seen, heard, or understood. This person that you just described in that scenario felt seen, felt, and understood with the value that you were providing. And it didn't even matter how much it was going to be. When value exceeded price is when people purchase.
Yeah, exactly. When it makes it hit home. And again, it's just selling that value. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to buy the cheapest thing out there that I know is going to fall apart in a week. I want to buy something that is good, that is good quality that I know is going to be there forever. Like pretty much anything I buy these days, I don't want to buy cheap stuff that's just going to fall apart. And it's the same thing with something like this. I mean, buy quality that you know will be there for the family when they need it. And so just a few things here. The Everest package, 24/7 assistance. The family, they can reach out to them at any time. Even the client, if they ever have questions, maybe heck, maybe they work nights or whatever. And the only time they can call is early in the morning or whatever. I mean, they can call any time to kind of talk to whoever they need to kind of help them put everything in order. A lot of different online planning tools. Uh, they can actually look into different funeral homes that are in the areas to kind of see what the general pricing is to kind of give them an idea. They will receive a bunch of different funeral planning documents that they can fill out and that Everest will actually store into their secure system. So then when the family calls, they already have everything right there. Everything from the way the client had wanted things done is just kind of right there. And the Everest will just kind of go through that step by step with the funeral home. And then they're going to negotiate. They're going to negotiate those prices with the funeral home. I mean, talk about a great added benefit. If they could save the family $2,000 to $4,000, that's just adding that much more value to what you did and the policy that they have. That money is just going to go that much further. And these days, heck, I mean, that's important too. I mean, I've noticed just over the last year, just a huge increase in the costs of funerals. I have so many policyholders that I wrote $10,000 policies on that was intended to cover their burial. And like, that's not going to be enough now. So, I mean, these days, you need to be writing more coverage, but at least with this Everest package, that even if they only have a $10,000 policy, that money's going to go a little bit further. Another thing there, let's just say the person can't afford enough coverage to cover everything. Maybe they can't handle a $15,000 policy. Well, that you can sell them on the Everest. Well, we can do a 10,000, and these guys are real good about negotiating prices. A $10,000 policy here is probably comparable to at least a $13,000 or $14,000 policy somewhere else. So that's again where you're adding that value and keeping it affordable for the client as well. And then, like we mentioned, the quick pay within 48 hours, will preparation. They get a free will with this. So Everest will send them out all that information. They can put together a will, they can fill it out, and even power of attorney papers. If they ever need a power of attorney drawn up, same thing. Everest will assist in that. So I've had clients ask me, Adam, I need a will. Do you know anywhere where I can get a will drawn up? Yeah, actually here, Everest. Let's do an additional $5,000 policy and get your will taken care of. And then Tenzing. That's another thing. Like they can store important personal information. This is even good while they're living, like to prevent fraud, or to not fraud, but to prevent like people getting into their like getting hacked and stuff like that. They can store all their passwords in there. Documents, insurance documents. Maybe they have more than just the insurance policy with American Amicable. They can store all their insurance policies in there. God forbid their house went up in flames or something. They lost all their policies. Well, at least everything is stored right there. Even pictures. How many funerals have you been to where there's like a photo slideshow these days? They could actually put together their own photo slideshow of all the pictures that they would want with their family members and friends and stuff. And everything's there for the family. Talk about making things a lot easier on everybody when the time comes.
Adam, you know what they say in Medicare is if you can get the person to use their extra benefits on their plan, the persistency is unparalleled. They don't drop the plan, they keep it once they know how to use it and they've been using it. Same thing applies here. If you can show somebody the extra benefit this policy provides and the riders and the sizzle and the stuff they can do, no one's going to come and replace it because they have all this stuff built into it.
Yeah. Like I said, and I mean, I know from experience, like I said, the first company I did final expense with for 11 and a half years, they had something similar that I think this is a lot better. There's just so much more to this than just that. And I mean, it greatly improved my persistency selling this high priced product that has that reputation of just getting replaced all over the place. I didn't experience that where others did, but I was selling that value. And like I said, this is like this is like that program on steroids. So then when the time comes, well, actually, before the fact, that's where the client, they contact Everest, they can discuss their wishes, they can review the prices, they'll help them finalize everything. Like I said, they put it all in order ahead of time. And then the family just has to make that one simple phone call. So, I love this product. Like I said, if they qualify with American Amicable, I'm going this route. I don't care that it costs a little bit more. Another thing I forgot to mention, Chris, on the Everest product, uh, let's see, hold on. I'll talk in full screen here. On the Everest product, uh, there is no reduction in commission on return of premium, or like they're modified. Where most companies, they're going to reduce your commission by, I would say, at least 20% or more if it goes from a preferred to a modified. But on the Everest product, it's a straight commission across the board. So whatever commission level you're at, regardless of whether it's preferred or return a premium with them, it's going to be the same commission. So that's another nice benefit. You're not taking a a cut in commission when you're writing that modified. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they know that this Everest is going to keep that business on the books. So that's why they're willing to pay you as much as they would on all the other products. Because other products, heck, a modified, maybe it ends up getting replaced somewhere else. But here, there's no other benefits again that are comparable to this.
Yeah, it's a
So
pretty significant difference. I'm looking at the comp sheets right now between the comp cuts on a modified and level benefit and the fact that there is no commission cut on platinum. In fact, platinum pays better than some other products with some other carriers. Like the comp is significantly higher. It's pretty awesome.
yeah, definitely. It's a really good, like I said, it's a good product, a good company. American Amicable too. They pay quickly. I mean, you write a piece of business on Monday, usually by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, you're going to be paid on it. And they pay when you write the business. So, they pay upon approval. You don't have to wait for the first premium to be drafted. I could write one today. Like I said, it might not even be set to draft until the middle of February, and I'll get paid on it like probably by Wednesday. So, pretty good. You need money quickly. Same thing. They pay quickly, and it's a good product. You don't have to sit around waiting to get paid on. So then that's about all I have for today. For future trainings, get on my website, register adambersan.com, and you'll be added to the mail list. And then that way, every week you will receive an email from me of the training topic of what we will be talking about. I think next week, Chris, I think we'll be talking about, I'm thinking about maybe going back through some of the different carriers. Like we did that a few months ago, just some of the different unique products that are out there. So I'm thinking maybe that's what we'll do next week. Maybe just kind of talk about maybe a few others, maybe that we haven't even talked about in the past, and just, what they have to offer and the reasons that we use them.
Yeah, there's a lot of value that can be brought up in whatever your favorite carrier is. And remember, when value exceeds price, people purchase. And word choice is so important when you're building value. You could sell the lowest priced carrier on the market and build tons of value in that too, but don't use the word cheap. Like nobody wants to buy cheap things, so don't say cheap in your sale.
Yep. And then additional training. I'd say your best bet, get on my YouTube channel. And all of these trainings are on there. The more you watch, the better you're going to get. I mean, between me and Chris, we have over 30 years of experience in the final expense business. I mean, I'm going on 21 years. So been doing a long time. I always tell people there's no reason to fix what isn't broken. We know how to do it the right way. We can show you how to do it the right way, and just stick with us, and good things will be coming your way. So if you need to reach me this week, feel free to get in touch with me. There's all of my information. And like I said, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. I hope y'all have a great week and good luck out there. Thanks again.
Take care.